Hi, this is Thomas with AddEvent, and today I'm going to give you a quick run through of some of the ways that you can link AddEvent with Google Sheets using Zapier. So there are many examples of different ways you could use the two services and in a variety of different kind of automation flows. For the sake of simplicity, I'm only going to show you a few examples and how they might work. The most powerful function of using AddEvent with Google Sheets is that it allows you to transmit and store information to and from AddEvent in a variety of different ways and link it with other information in a very standardized format that thousands of tools can use in the form of a spreadsheet. So let's dive into an example where AddEvent is the trigger in this case. So let's say you want to print name cards for the attendees of the event that you've had people RSVPing to with AddEvent. Many name card printing programs can import a properly formatted spreadsheet, right? They might give you some rules as to kind of what the columns need to be and where they need to be in order, but you can then import the spreadsheet directly into the tool that then prints them out. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to have a trigger here where it's a new RSVP attendee with AddEvent, right? And then it's going to get sent to a Google Sheets spreadsheet that's been pre-formatted, right, with the create new row action. So the idea is here is that when you go through this and you set it up, you can choose kind of what event you want this Zap to be listening to, or in my case, I have it listening to an entire calendar worth of events. So anybody who RSVPs to any event on that calendar will trigger this. And you can choose their attendee status, right? Do you want this to be specifically for people who are going, but maybe you want people who are not going, or maybe to end up on your sheet? In this case, because it's name tags, let's say we want people who are going, right? So we'll say continue. And I ran some tests earlier, and so it came up with some different records that I could use to pass data down to Google Sheets. And so we're going to pick this one, continue with selected record, right? And so in this case, now we're going to set up the Google Sheets end of this, right? It assumes that you already have a sheet set up and ready to go. And so in this case, I have it set to send any information from this trigger to this sheet and worksheet number 1. And I have it set that anything that comes in the name field will end up in the name column. Same thing with attendee email address ending up in the email address column. And in this case, I had a favorite ice cream question as one of the custom data fields that you can use in your AddEvent RSVP events. And this one was favorite ice cream, and so have that going to the favorite ice cream column, right? And so I hit continue, and then this is from an earlier test, but we can retest it, and bang, you can see that it's sent to row 3 because I've already tested this a couple times. And so if we go look at the spreadsheet, we can see that indeed on row 3, there is a new row of information. So it has my name, it has my email address, and it has my favorite ice cream. And the idea here is, if you haven't caught on yet, that these would be filled with whatever information that the attendee gives you. So it's not like you're filling this out for a one-time thing. You know, this is going to be running automatically and collecting data. And so then when you go to print name cards, right before the event, you have a pre-formatted, pre-filled, ready-to-go spreadsheet that you can just import, and you don't have to do any copy and pasting or moving things around to get it set up. It is ready for you, and it's been doing it all while you are doing other things to help get your event ready to go. So now let's look at a different event where Google Sheets is the trigger in this case, and this is pretty cool. What you can do here is you can use Google Sheet as the trigger point to then set up an event or other information in multiple locations, including AddEvent at the same time, and then feed that data down the chain of things you want to do. So in this example, what we're going to do is, let's say that you need to create an event in multiple platforms at the same time, right? You are hosting a Zoom meeting or a Zoom webinar, right? And you need to create that in Zoom, but you also want to create an equivalent event with the same data in AddEvent for easy distribution to people. And especially you want that event in AddEvent to include the Zoom link from the meeting you just created so that it gets included in everyone's add to calendar links that end up on their calendar, right? Well, that's a lot of effort to go from, creating it all in Zoom and then copy and pasting it all into AddEvent and then sending it, wherever you want to send it. What if you could just put everything you need, all the different pieces of information, title, start time, end time, description, location, things like that, into a spreadsheet, and then let this automation do all the legwork of setting everything up for you? And this is just the tip of the iceberg. You could go further here and send more information to automatic emails that go out and things like that. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to set it up where Google Sheets is set to trigger on a new or updated row, right? So we'll set up what sheet it's looking for. Right now I have it pointed at this particular sheet that I set up for this video. And then sheet 1 here. And any column will trigger the thing. So we'll continue, and I had some tests running, and there we go. So here's a record we can use for our testing, right? It saw that I had filled in a title, the start time and end time formatted correctly for the rest of these. That's important. You got to make sure your start and end time are formatted in a way that works for the other tools in your automation flow. And I threw in a little basic description here. So we'll continue with selected record. Now we go to Zoom, right? So you're going to create meeting or create webinar. And you're going to choose the type. And then in the topic of it, the title of the meeting or webinar, you can take the title field from your spreadsheet, and whatever's in there will populate here. Same thing with the start time. It'll populate here. And then if you put a time zone in here, or you want to manually put a time zone in for all of the incoming data from here on out, you could do that. And then you can set the meeting duration. So this will be the standard for every time this gets triggered. Each meeting that ends up in here will have this long of a duration, right? So you hit continue. And like I said, I was testing earlier, and I got all of this information back, which is great. So and most of this we don't need, but we do need a couple of key things. So now we're going to go on to AddEvent. So now we've got all the information about the meeting in terms of title, start, end time, description, and key here, the meeting exists now in Zoom, and therefore we have a link that we can put in our AddEvent event. So I'm going to hit continue, and I'm going to do create event, and we're going to have the title be pulled from the spreadsheet. Like with Zoom, we're going to select what calendar this goes on in AddEvent. You can select whatever you want. And then you can map the start time field to the start time and the end time field to the end time. Pick any other options, right? Is this an RSVP event? Is this an all-day event? And in the location field, you can pull that all-powerful Zoom link directly into here. And then you can put the description in here and kind of anything else you need to do. You hit continue. And if you were to test this step, right, and everything is correct, then if you go to AddEvent, you will see there's your demo event with your Zoom link. And all you did after setting all of this up, all you did was put information into a Google Sheet. So, and like I said, kind of the sky's the limit on that. I mean, you can send that information to all sorts of other places in terms of your flow and the apps you like to use to distribute information to your users. So I hope you can kind of see how powerful this is. Like, given the flexibility and the power of spreadsheets, there are a huge variety of ways you can link AddEvent and Google Sheets, either directly or, I think more importantly, as part of a larger multi-app flow like you're seeing here. So thank you for watching, and I hope your next event goes really well, and take it easy.